What's going on, people? It's Keshav here and welcome to a Berlin edition of the Ask Keshav show, and this is episode 6. What's going on, people? This is Keshav and I'm in Berlin in Germany here for a couple of days. Thought I'd shoot a quick Ask Keshav video for you. And the first question, I've forgotten who it's from, but it's how do you make your goals more specific? Because when I talk about my goals, for instance, in some of my videos, they're really specific. It's clear, I know what I want, when I want it, and how I want to get there. And some of you watching, like me a while ago, and some of my goals are still quite vague. You might be in the same position. So the question someone out there asked me was, how do you make your goals more specific? It's a really simple answer. There's 3 things you really need to do: engage, experiment, and experience. So you can write down a goal on a piece of paper, but there is no amount of theory in the world that will help you get ready and be prepared for what you actually want. You know, I can sit down and write and trip and plan this whole trip, but things have changed. Even the location of where I wanted to shoot this video has changed. So things will happen from the moments that you write down your goals to executing them, where you'll have to adapt. And that comes from experimenting and actually engaging with what you're setting out to do. The second part of that I mentioned already is experiment. Try different things. So maybe your goal is business, starting a business. The only way you can figure out a vague goal of, I want to have my own business and be self-employed, but what kind of business, is by going out and doing it, by experimenting, by talking to people. And those experiences will verify what you don't want and the things you want to delete, the things that you want to get more specific on, and the area you want to move more towards. And you kind of start off with a very general macro goal, if you want, and it gets micro even clearer and simpler as you go along. But the only way is by doing it and experimenting and engaging, not by writing it down. There's so many people who I know who have goals to travel the world, but there's nothing beyond that. Where do you want to go? How much is it going to cost you? Where do you want to stay? What places do you want to visit? It's only by coming to Berlin, Germany, that I know these are the specific places that I want to go to. And that only comes from engaging, experimenting, and experiencing. So go out there and do those 3 things. The next question comes from my really good friend Jay from Botswana, and he's got a question about exams and preparing for your exams. Jay, first of all, I'm sorry it took me a little while to get to your question, but I wanted to spend a bit of time doing some research into what other people recommend, as well as what has worked for me in my experience and the clients that I work with. So Jay's question is, he's a straight A student, does really well academically, does all the preparation, everything sorted before exam day. But when it comes to the actual night of the exam and the day of the exam and the test, he gets really nervous. And when he's sitting there in the exam hall, his mind just goes blank. So Jay, there's 3 really simple things that you can do to help you manage your state, your emotional state, a lot better. And the first one is breathe. Second one is practice, and the third one is prepare, which I'm sure you've been doing anyway. There's a guy called Wim Hof, he's also known as the Iceman. Give him a little Google, and he advocates a breathing technique where you breathe in really deep and then release half of the amount of air. And you repeat this for about 1 or 2 minutes, and it helps you to hold more oxygen in your brain. I've also got a video on this called the Dragon Breath Technique, which I'll put a link over here somewhere so you can check that out. But that's my first piece of advice, is just breathe. When you're about to go into the exam hall, when you start the day in the morning, do something fun, have your favorite meal, spend a bit of time playing video games, whatever, to relax yourself and get yourself into the most ease, get yourself into the most relaxed and laid back state as possible. Because what's happening is when you're stressed, your cortisol levels rise in your brain, and it acts as an inductor to those electrical signals between your neural pathways and your neurons. What you want to do is release more adrenaline, dopamine, and all these other conductors of electricity that help your neurons to connect more, so you can use more of your brain. And a really good way to do that is the dragon breath technique that I'm talking about, or the Wim Hof technique, or just really simply breathing really deep. What you could do, just spend 10 minutes in complete silence and meditate before you go off to the exam room. And then the second two things, preparation. Prepare well enough in advance that you've sat that exam over and over again. So even if it's under timed conditions, you're really used to doing it that way. If you think about some of the best athletes in the world, like Usain Bolt, he's run that race so many thousands of times before the horn actually goes off, that it's just another repetition for him. And the more reps you put in, the better you will be on game day, on the test day. And the last one is prepare. If you're well enough prepared, know that you are, and go over your notes in the morning so that you don't feel like you need to rush on that day, and that you can go in as relaxed as possible. So the main thing there is, what things could you do to help you be as relaxed as possible? So those are the ideas I have. Let me know how you get on. The next question comes from Ashi Tejwani, who asks, how do you overcome negative pressure from your parents when you have a goal and they don't quite agree with it? 3 things. The first one, Ashi, is come at this problem with empathy. Understand that these are love notes left by your parents. I made a video about this. If you search it on my channel, I'll link it over here. It's called Love Notes, talking about how the things our family leave around for us, it could be toys, it could be things that annoy us, it could be behaviors that we don't like, things that they don't agree with. They are love notes. They're examples of the people that we care about, their love for us. So try to come at it from that angle and to really understand, why are they behaving this way? What is giving them resistance? Most of the time, people move from fear or love, and they're probably coming from a place of fear because they want you to have security, a well-paid job, and all those things. The next thing is explain to them your choices and your decisions. When you understand where they're coming from and maybe the fear that they have, and you have an open discussion as much as humanly possible, because I know parents can be difficult to deal with at times, try to come from their point of view and try to really explain, here's what my heart says, this is where I'm trying to go, and this is what's important to me, and this is the reason why I'm making this decision. And take really small steps along that way. Don't do the most radical thing, because that will increase the resistance and the friction that you're experiencing with them in your relationship. Take little steps every single day. So, I don't know, let's say you wanted to go to a university far away from where you live right now. Don't just start off with, okay, I'm going there and that's final. Take small steps. Start with, I'd like to go and see an open day there, and then incrementally build it up so that they have time to acclimatize and adjust to your decisions and where you're at. But mostly understand that from a parent's perspective, they created you, they raised this little girl, and now they feel very protective. But at the end of the day, if you go about life living based on what other people want for you, you will be miserable, sad, and unhappy for the rest of your life. And that decision is simply not worth it, because if it's not now, at some point in the future, you will have to make that decision, and not everyone is going to be comfortable with it. Sometimes when we change and we develop, when it comes to personal growth and development, all of my clients who are watching this know this, the people who resist the most are the people closest to us, because they're not sure what it means. So make it clear to them that you are changing, you are taking a different direction, but you still care and love them just as much. So the final question for today's episode comes from Damien Carrillo. What's up, Damien? And he asks, what inspired you to start making YouTube videos? Damien, I don't think it was one thing in particular. If you go back and look at some of my earlier videos, at the beginning it was trying to test it, see if I was good at it, and just experimenting like I was talking about earlier on in the episode. So it kind of started off as this vague thing. I didn't really have much purpose behind it as much as I do now. And also I think the mark of a great leader is someone who doesn't just create more followers, but multiplies. So they create more leaders. And I wanted to be that person. I wanted to inspire you guys to make better videos than me, to become more evolved, smart, intelligent, successful than me. And watching some of the people who inspired me at the time, who were also on YouTube, I definitely was inspired to start making them. So it was a bit of both. I think it's a platform that anyone can use to share ideas, and I wanted to create this mix of social development and looking at issues in society, and at the same time, personal development and growth. So that's it for today's episode. If you've got questions that you want me to answer in a future episode of the Ask Keshav show, leave it in the comments below and I'll answer it in a future video. And I got a big announcement for you all today. Next month, I'm going to be going to Kenya to work on poverty and human rights, local justice, by helping local groups to create and develop their own sustainable projects to break out of poverty, to tackle a mix of different issues. And I'm mainly going to be based in Mathare slum in Nairobi, Kenya. So I'm doing some fundraising right now because I want to give back even more after all the love you guys have given me and everyone watching. So if you'd like to donate, please click on the link in the description. It would really help me out. You can see where all the money goes. It goes directly to those projects. And I'm going to be making some videos out there while I'm in Kenya, as well as some Ask Keshav shows and some speeches and all that kind of good stuff, as well as a travel video of my trip. So please donate, keep sending your questions in, and thanks as always for watching. Catch you next time. Peace. Been challenged to a race by my friend Anthony. See what happens. Champion. I'm claiming that. I'm claiming it.
You're claiming that,
2-1.
How are you claiming that when you failed the draw?
Because now that on reflection, I do think I won.
Oh really?
By just a slight amount.
On reflection.
When I think about it.
When you think, what
I should have pointed the camera at the finish line.
what's the new evidence come to light?
Just verifying my
Just
own
I'm thinking of it. I'm thinking about actually did I want to? Yeah. Can't think of it, don't skip. Oh what? Can't hold it, don't skip.
Looking like enough of a dick like this.
Do you like the jumper?
I do.
All this religious iconography.
Can you name all the religious
Next video references.
next video? See you next time.
Peace.